We're in Île-à-la-Crosse, Saskatchewan. We're doing ice monitoring surveys. So we have a ground penetrating radar unit here. It's called an ice map. Essentially what it does is we're driving along. It sends signals down into the water. So when there's like an interface, when the ice ends and the water starts, that's when a signal will change. And then that way you can tell how thick it is. There's a huge density difference between ice and water. And so that lets us measure the thickness essentially with the equipment.
I think 1955 was when the highway was opened, but I believe before that they had the Fort Black Trail, and they had a road coming across. And the elders also talk about coming down the Beaver River from Beauval.
Our elders in the past told us about, a little bit about the history and, how the weather conditions, the weather patterns, have changed over the decades. We're losing a lot more of our elders. So I think, it's important, that we record, these different seasonal temperatures and what's happening, in terms of climate within the northern region.
There's not a lot of data out there on ice thickness. There is some from the provincial governments up in more northern Saskatchewan, but that's their data. It's not easily accessible. So having this data, we can host it with M&S and then share it with our people whenever they want it. And then we can collect data year to year and see changes in ice thicknesses.
The climate is totally different. We used to have 4 feet of snow on the ice. Now we only got, a foot maybe? With this last snowfall we had. Before that, we were driving all over the place, right up to towards Patronac here, 50 kilometers up the road with a half-ton. That never happened before. So the climate must be changing. Île-à-la-Crosse is called Sagittawak, where the rivers meet. The Beaver River, the Kenneau River, especially the Beaver River, and the Churchill River system. The Beaver River, there's lots of affluent coming down that river from Alberta. Lots of it. And it's hitting Île-à-la-Crosse. Everything hits Île-à-la-Crosse because all the rivers come down here, That's what I'm scared of.
The water was our highway then. The water today connects us to every community in Northwest Saskatchewan. You can go to Canoe Lake, you can go to Beauval, you can go to English River, Patronac, you can go Buffalo Narrows, La Loche by water. So it's a big part of our culture. Even today you see the ice road. It's always been a big part of it.
Historically, we've always been kind of left out of this kind of stuff. Like people always just came in from the universities and just kind of did their thing. We helped, my grandfather, Ted Rath, he's helped a lot of academics and universities get data, but he's never seen that data.
Métis families have been doing this conservation work on the land, but just by a different name, just by really living with the landscape and being connected to the lands and waters of their homeland. And now that Western science has really come to understand the biodiversity crisis that we're in and the climate crisis that we're in, there's a lot more appetite, and on the heels of reconciliation, to work with Métis communities to monitor these landscapes.
The first time I came out, the elder I was with, he was explaining things to me, and it helped understand the data a lot better when I saw data outliers, and he was explaining that we were on grounded ice where the ground underneath meets the ice and you get really weird data. Without him there, I wouldn't have been able to understand. I wouldn't have known why I was doing that. So I think it's just important that we have community members who know the lands.
Nowadays, people don't have that connection with the land anymore. So this transition of knowledge is really important, and getting people out there doing monitoring, that's a good way for elders to talk to other community members that are younger, that don't know as much. My grandfather, he's already 77 now, and he grew up on the trap line. Him and his dad were trappers, and they used to sell furs. Just recently he stopped because he's getting too old, they had to retire. And now they don't buy furs anymore. And it's really hard for him to transfer that kind of knowledge on to like me and my cousins, because like there's not really a need for it right now. Like trapping, like you can't sell like what you catch now, and there's a disconnect from the land. So we need to collect his knowledge like some way, and like doing these interviews and doing like these academic reports, that's a good way to collect all this knowledge from elders.